Well, hey guys, it's Kristi. Welcome to a rather spontaneous hangout. We're trying to keep up with current events here on the Winters channel, and there have been a lot of current events. I'm joined tonight by Danny and Kevin. We're going to be discussing the latest goings-ons with the Bearings. And it was just Friday night, Kevin, that you and I had what we thought was the end of the story, the Bearing story when it came to Michael and the GoFundMe campaign. And then literally like the next day or shortly thereafter, more drama ensued. And are you okay to do a rundown from your perspective? Because I want to give my timeline, so it would be helpful if you could give your rundown of the events as you witnessed them, and then we'll get Danny's reaction afterwards, and then I'll talk.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Basically, Michael said. I think did we discuss that Michael had already said that he didn't want to do the actual GoFundMe campaign. That Bearing was going to do it. But the thing I felt was quite interesting because the next day Bearing came out and said, "Okay, well I will do the whole thing," and that was the original plan. Even though his fans had spent the last couple of days saying, no, the original plan wasn't that Bearing was going to do it. He just said something about it happening, blah, blah, blah. And then Bearing came out basically threw his own fans under the bus, which I thought was quite funny.
Yeah, the original plan is whatever Bearing says it was, and his fans some of his hardcore fans will just echo that mantra.
It is a little bit Ministry of Truth, where they can just go back and change shit to being, oh, well, it was this all along. Oh, no, it was this thing all along. It doesn't matter whether Bearing says we're at war with Eurasia or East Asia. Little literature joke there. Literature joke.
Geographical literacy. Yeah, and then so we thought that was going to be where the saga was going, but then it took this massive plot turn, didn't it? Things just dropped out of the sky.
Did it? What now? What?
Oh, I was thinking in terms of yeah. So Michael did his thing, and then Bearing said, "No, I'm not going to do it." And then Michael's like, "Fine, I'm not going to go then." And then Michael's, "No, so," but or Bearing was like, "Then no, I'll do it. I'll do it." But then we just got dropped with the news. Well, Bearing had come off of a 7-day suspension that we noticed for his absence because he had been kind of a jerk to some people, and then he disappeared for 7 days. So we'd I think he's gone in suspension. Came back and confirmed that. And yeah. Then yeah,
but that was from Twitter.
That was from Twitter.
So I mean, yeah. Sorry, I thought we were just talking about the Michael thing for a second. Yeah, he was then suspended from Twitter and has come out and gone, Kristi Winters is evil, which is that's sort of a standard thing. You are very much his Emmanuel Goldstein to carry on the 1984 theme. For some reason.
We'll get to how he creates the illusion of that by lying to his fans, both through propaganda and through trying to rewrite history when we come onto your video. So Bearing in his various videos says that he didn't know why he got his account permanently suspended. This was after he'd just come off of a 7-day suspension for violating the rules. And I know he said in a video description that I looked up once, can you guys please tweet this out? It was probably, I don't know, it was probably directed at me because it's usually the stuff that I have to unfortunately look at. I'm on a Twitter ban, I'm Twitter suspended for so many hours. And I would really like to know an answer to the question, how many times has Bearing had to delete tweets? How many times has he put on a 12-hour suspension? 1-day suspension, a 1-week suspension. How many? I'm quite curious as to what that number would be.
Yeah, and not just that, but the idea that Bearing has no idea, like, I'm totally innocent. I've never done anything. Oh, come on. Like, if I know Twitter's rules aren't necessarily always applied across the board. I mean, Twitter is something of a wild west when it comes to applying things. Sometimes child porn's good. Sometimes it's bad. Who knows? Sometimes Nazi accounts are fine. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they get banned. Sometimes they get fucking verified. It's impossible to know. But Bearing really can't have, other than that inconsistency, he really can't.
Oh, Kevin went off. So Danny, your sort of remembrance of the events of learning Bearing was off air or off Twitter. Sorry, not off air.
Let's just say that, I hope he remains suspended for pretty much ever on Twitter, because he's pretty, I think based on what you've discussed, I think the only person that Bearing can blame for getting himself banned is is himself for being consistently awful. Because
yeah, I would agree that, you know, if you don't violate the rules, you can't be reported. There's a cause and effect here, you know, so you can say, oh, Kristi, you shouldn't have reported him, but Twitter gives us tools to report harassment. And this has been a sustained, ongoing, sexually demeaning harassment campaign that he's been running on YouTube and using Twitter to support. Now, if I mass report him on Twitter, I'm going to get his channel taken down. And so my idea for Twitter was to report him to improve my service. What I didn't realize was that so many people had reported Patrick before me that he seems to have run out of strikes, that he had already been on a 7-day suspension. So we'll come on to the fact that I had 2 reports of him violating the terms of service in the last 3 weeks. And those are the only reports on Patrick that were ever successful. So all of the ones he's gotten before this, he earned from other people. Nothing to do with me, because when I report his tweets, they're using that slur. And I use the reporting targeting me because if you actually read the abuse and like how the reporting works on Twitter, a person who is being personally targeted has more weight than someone saying, I watched somebody being targeted, right? So they're going to go to people who have a direct impact. And I described the term and bearing and what he was using it for and how his fans used it. And of the times that I've reported it, I had 2 successes, and they came in the last 3 weeks, and they came at the end of Bering's Twitter career. But if they came at the end of Bering's Twitter career, I was the straw that broke the camel's back, because he had already put all that on there before I showed up.
Yeah, I was just going to say before, for some reason my microphone stopped working. Other than the inconsistency, I don't think he can actually complain about being banned, because he said some absolutely appalling things. I mean, if you just go, you can't actually go through his account and stuff anymore. But if you Google, you know, Bering transphobic tweet or something, loads pop up. He's a fucking horrible individual. Yeah, he really can't complain too much at all. And of course, his get out, which I presume we're going to get to at some point, is that, well, it's not sexually demeaning. It's just I'm innocent again. I'm perfectly innocent. It's just the name of a character.
Yeah.
Yeah. That lie.
Yeah, I think he should change his username to Lying instead of Bearing. Like, the only reason his name is Bearing is because we have to bear with so much of his bullshit. At least Lying would be... At least Lying would be Danny, much closer to the truth.
And the fact
Danny,
is...
I know you look
you go ahead and make your joke, Kevin.
I was just going to say, I know you look like an awesome 1960s spy from a John le Carré novel, but I'm the one that does the fucking puns here, okay? Let's... Stay in your lane, bitch.
Oh, fight! They're gonna have an arm wrestle over the internet. That'd be good. Oh yeah, but because on that, you know, the reason the last reports I filed was Bering tweeting when he thought we were having our hangout on the Tuesday night or whatever it was, and he was tweeting at me, "Fisty this, fisty that. Why don't you talk about your echo chamber, fisty yada yada yada." And that's what I was like, you know, again, screw this, reporting it, because I can report it as targeted harassment because it's about my name, it's sexually demeaning, and it's been going on forever. And again, most times. Until the last 2 reports, nothing happened. And you know what changed? It wasn't me. And sadly for Patrick, he didn't change his behavior enough for the changes to be him. What changed was Twitter. Twitter is changing how they enforce these rules, and people better get wise, or they're going to have greater problems. Now, maybe Bering could have gone on if Twitter hadn't changed their rules, because they would have discounted my reports. But they stopped discounting my reports, and they saw it for harassment. And I'm really grateful, because I believe it's harassment because it meets all of the definitions of harassment. So I'm not going to apologize for stopping people harassing me online. That's why Twitter gives us those tools. And if Bering didn't want to get reported, then again, he can control what he puts out on his channel, and he can control what he puts out on Twitter. Because the other thing is, yeah, when he would put out a video tweet with the video image and the slur in the tweet to promote it, yes, that is also targeted harassment because it was aimed at me. So I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to apologize for him when he picks on me personally and in a sustained way and in a sexually degrading way. That meets all of the criteria for harassment. So thank you. I had my little rant there on that issue. So Kevin, yeah, should we go to the video then? You want to give us a little setup about? Yes. So Bering made this excuse.
Yeah, his excuse was that he wanted he doesn't do. It's not a sexually demeaning thing at all. It's just the name of. Sorry, yeah, it's the name of a character that he does, and that's bullshit because of the video I juxtaposed that video to in my video, if that makes sense.
Right. In that video, someone washing dishes in the background? Okay, yeah. That video was made in response to something I did last Christmas called Bearing Bingo, because his content is so predictable and he uses the same jokes again and again. And because of that, you know, it was easy to just sort of like check off, okay, this trope has been met, that trope has been met. And he made the video I'm about to show you, it'll come up in the second part of it, as a response. And that has been out for almost a year now. Whereas this whole fist thing, I'm just hearing about it to cover his butt, basically. So let's go ahead and we're going to watch that. It's a 2-minute 50-second video. It's made by Kevin. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Oh, yep. Kevin, you're live again. Do you want to talk before I go?
No, I'm good. Okay.
So here we go. And wait. Oh, wait, that didn't work because I didn't take out my headphones. Now it's going to work. Wait, let me turn the volume way up. There we go.
So you might have heard my Twitter account was permanently suspended yesterday. Without warning or explanation, which was pretty fucking annoying. I don't even use Twitter that much, and when I do, it's not like I'm tweeting horrendous shit. It's mainly just new videos and a bit of back and forth banter. So I appealed the suspension without knowing what I got suspended for, and got the most vague fucking stock standard response from Twitter. But then Kristi Winters started tweeting.
To point out that there are exactly 2 reports that were successful. And one says, thank you for letting us know this account was found in violation. And then actually there was one where it was accounts because there were 2 people and I edited out the other person who had violated the terms of service. And what Behring does here is he takes those 2 reports and he uses screenshots of them to make it look like I had done 15 reports. This is propaganda and a lie. Each of those tweets went out individually. You could check them. I can give you the date of the reports. So this is just a classic example of Patrick creating a propaganda narrative that has nothing to do with the truth, because instead of taking responsibility for his own failings and faults, he is trying to create a scapegoat, which is exactly what he did a year ago when he was spreading lies and using his propaganda techniques then. Okay, back to the video. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I find it deeply. Oh, I'm now hearing myself. This is mental.
Yeah, this is what I told you about the feedback. All right, gotcha.
Yeah, it almost feels like a pointless thing to say now, really, but we haven't gone through all that. But actually, it's annoying that he's using this song during this bit, because it's actually a remix of that song anyway.
You get to see behind the scenes on how complicated it is to do all this.
Patrick needs to admit he's a sexist, bigoted bully whose career was built on him leading coordinated online harassment. Jack's not the problem. You're the problem, Patrick. Stop being an online bully.
I mean, he is.
Yeah, exactly. He is.
Stopping sexual harassment and sexist online abuse is not censorship. Behring fans aren't the smartest, but you stand out for your uninformed assumptions.
Also true. If you're harassing people and abusing them, you're not having a conversation. So it violates, it compromises their free speech. Also, God, I'm right. I'm so right.
Stopping sexual harassment and sexist abuse is not censorship. Right, so let's recap. I've reported him for his sexually demeaning fisty slur he uses against me. He kept doing it. I've been successfully
Nope, it says I've been successful reporting Patrick. He said I've been successfully reporting Patrick. Again, that could have been fixed in an edit. He left it in.
Patrick more than once. He's been suspended for 12 hours several times in the past. That doesn't even make sense. Fisty's not a sexually demeaning slur. Fisty's not a sexually demeaning slur.
Fisty's not a sexually demeaning slur.
Fisty's not a sexually demeaning slur. Fisty is the name of a Kristi Winters parody cartoon that sometimes appears on my channel. Coming this Christmas to a toy store near you, the all-new Fisty Piss and Moan Splinters doll. With incredible lifelike features, you'll think you're hanging around with the real Fisty as she comes to life and talks to you with over 20 classic Fisty remarks. Fisty's not a sexually demeaning slur. Experts say it has been estimated that many anti-feminists use weasel words. Dogpiling is a form of rape. Bearing is the no-platforming YouTuber. He should be banned from YouTube. He should be banned from YouTube. Banned from YouTube. Banned from YouTube. Banned from YouTube. Banned from YouTube.
Absolutely, go fuck yourself. Fuck you. Fuck you.
So what was that bit with Tim at the end?
That was actually from Bearing's video as well. That was how he ended the video. I don't quite know why, because that seems entirely incongruous with what the actual video was. But I thought actually it works perfectly well, because it is just essentially telling Bearing to go fuck himself, which I think is a perfectly basically that bit from Tim at the end was me saying I'm Tim/Kevin and I approve this message.
So do I.
Whatever.
Yeah, like Bearing really should.
I like that interpretation. It's more like to Tim saying to Bearing, "Screw you, you liar."
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's obviously bullshit. Also, something that I found a little bit disconcerting was the fact that he was using that fisting doll, and then there were pictures of children as well, which was just a bit ew, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, again, humor is not some art form that he's mastered.
No.
The idea of, of course, it was supposed to be about a Christmas toy, because that's what I had done. It was about, a Christmas holiday and get your special and stuff. And why he would put in little girls in a video where he was going to put up a dildo. Yeah, I don't get that either.
Like, Bearing should be banned from YouTube. That's actually one of that's like when that brief period from last year when he was easily one of the best weeks ever.
Yeah, something about the end of the year.
Yeah, and also I found it quite funny because they instantly came out and said, this is a disgrace. The SJWs have flagged him down before knowing anything, and then oh no, actually it was because he's an IP theft.
And with this,
Artwork theft.
Yeah, the idea that somehow the fisty name and the fist dildo put together like that for his fans, that video has been part of his canon for, going on a year probably now, probably just under a year. And yeah, that he's denying that that's somehow deliberately sexually degrading is beyond astounding. I mean, the guy's ability to lie to himself is profound. And we've seen it again and again. He lied about what Tim and Bearing Cab discussed. He lied about the accusations he made without any evidence against Danny and me. He lied about his last significant interaction with Russian Deadpool. And he's lying about the fact that this is somehow wasn't from the start designed to be a sexual degrading image and name for me. And when I objected to it, what you do is say, oh, you know what? I gave you a nickname. You don't like it. I'm going to not use it anymore. Instead, he's like, no, I know what your nickname means, and I'm going to impute it on you, and I'm going to have all my fans chanted at you. That is harassment. That's harassment.
Yeah. He's. You may be able to hear my cat, who has been constantly making noise all the way
Rory
through.
Cats for the win.
Yeah, well, yeah, but he's also Rory Cats for a fucking boot up his ass. What? Anyway.
I kind of like it when he comes in and gives us a bit of a cat break. Just reminds us who's important in life.
Yeah, but he's been fucking annoying me, making noise in the background all the way through this. This is a little shit. Anyway, apologies for that. Yes, the Bearing, the plausible deniability aspect of it with what he likes to say. It's fist is just the name of a character. Well, having that dildo in there, it even removes that very, very thin veil of plausible deniability, because he knows exactly what it is. Everyone who's ever heard him say fisty knows exactly what that's supposed to mean, exactly what that's supposed to indicate to his fans. And essentially he just completely and utterly proves it, removes any doubt whatsoever by having that fist in that video. And you can check underneath that video, by the way, there is a link provided to me by the delightful Kristiosity to the actual image that he uses. It's the Hand of Adonis fist dildo, which I thought was quite reasonably priced. Not being a sex toy expert, I imagine them to be a great deal more expensive than they are. But you know, whatever. So I'm not being sponsored by the dildo company. It's just observation.
I'm guessing Barry found that image because.
Oh yeah, it was the second image. International Manchies I was having a back and forth with somebody, a Bering fan, and managed to do the image search, and it was the second result on Google. So he didn't take the first fist dildo he found; he took the second one because he really wanted to cover his tracks.
Well, that's an improvement for Bering, because that's the second laziest thing he could have done. The most lazy thing.
Well, laziness is Bering's specialty.
Yeah, I looked back through a few of the videos he's done on Kristi, and there's the same piece of music which he didn't produce, one of his friends produced, which is the weird little sort of mix of you saying robust feminist argument over and over. Because again, humor is not something he's mastered, and he uses it at the end of about a dozen videos, I would say. I mean, it's ridiculous.
He's really branded it, the abuse. So yeah, and of course, you know, this whole idea that it was the fist, the feminist fist symbol. Again, this is such a covering your ass kind of bullshit story that comes out of nowhere, because I've never used that image. Maybe, you know, the skeptic feminist, they've used, you know, that sort of like with the O and the, you know, the sign of the woman and stuff, and maybe, but I don't use that image. So the idea that somehow that was him making a reference to my feminism, and the fact that it takes him 5 minutes to explain it just shows how much bullshit it is, considering that video that you clipped has been sitting out there for almost a year.
Yeah. And like I say, it's really obvious to any adult human being exactly what that's supposed to imply. I mean, it's insulting to the intelligence to turn around and say, "Oh no, it's just the name of a character." Like, we're not 7. We know what you fucking mean. And that, like I say, I use that clip specifically because it removes even that thin veil of doubt.
Danny, do you have any thoughts on this that you want to get in? Because I know I've been talking a lot, and Kevin always has a lot of interesting thoughts. So,
Bering Slice pretty much revealed.
Don't be consider, Chris. Tell me to shut the fuck up. It's fine. I won't take it personally.
Bering, please shut the fuck up. You're a contemptible piece of shit, and I hope you don't come back. But yeah, it's always late November, early December when like the past 2 years he's managed to screw up. Like last year he got caught for stealing artwork, and now this year he gets his Twitter banned because of his own stupidity.
Yeah, I mean, if he's not on Twitter much and he managed to get suspended that many times, you can't say that he's got a great account. Because, you know, there are people...
Maybe that's why he's not on Twitter very much, because he's always fucking banned.
Maybe.
Just a thought.
So yeah, I mean, again, you know, I saw him before he decided to create this whole narrative. You know, like I said, I'm fine if I was the straw that broke the camel's back. But the fact is, Twitter didn't listen to me for ages. They only listened to me in the last 3 or 4 weeks. So it wasn't me that did it alone. There were a lot of other people who laid the groundwork, and it might not even have been me, because other people could have reported him in that time as well before his suspension landed. I don't know what happens with him. So he was on Undoomed, and he was saying that, yeah, he'd had these suspensions in the past, and he then left all of that out, that context. And I think it is important that he and Undoomed were talking about it as if when you went into your 12-hour timeout, that was your punishment, and you came back with a clear record. And there's no way that Twitter works with harassment that way. I'm sure that you get a black mark next to your name in the book. And then depending on how often it happens or how widespread it is, or how severe your punishment has been in the past, I'm sure that there's got to be some kind of calculation that they take. Now, I agree. Twitter should be way more transparent. I would like to know if my report was the one that was the straw that broke the camel back, just out of curiosity. But that being said, if you've just come off a 7-day suspension, maybe don't provoke people with sexist slurs. Just a thought, just saying.
Yeah, that would be generally speaking. If you've got a record, it's incumbent upon you to not be an immediate and horrific recidivist and go and do exactly the same shit you've been doing for ages, which got you into that place in the first place, because you're sort of Twitter. Well, any place that can have that kind of censure is going to be more likely to bring the hammer down on someone who's got previous. If it's like a first offence, they're not just going to immediately do X, Y, Z. But if you've got previous, don't be a prick. But that's seemingly Baring's one gear.
Yeah, being a prick is the only thing Baring knows how to do.
Well, when old Maced Alaska did his 8-hour rant, which Baring did the version of that, he just went on different shows complaining over and over. 9 hours.
8 hours 51. I watched that, and oh god.
I liked how you clipped out all the silent bits where he wasn't talking from the video.
Yeah, well, having listened to 9 hours of it, I thought I'm not editing video with him talking, so I thought, fuck it, I'll just do the silent bits and put some words over him.
Why would anyone want to watch? Why would anyone want to watch a 9-hour video of Baked Alaska ranting?
But I'm ill. This is an illness. Okay? I need fucking help.
It was Thanksgiving weekend coming up. He had to top up his Trump because things were going to quiet down. But getting back to my point, Baked Alaska too. These guys go on like, I've had 12-hour suspensions and I've had to delete tweets and I've had other day bans, but I don't understand why I got my account permanently suspended. Really? How do those two things go together in your head? I know that I've done all these wrong things and I've been punished in the past. Also,
what I will say,
I don't know why I got suspended.
Anti-feminist hypocrisy.
He's not. Baring isn't Baked Alaska. Well, Baring is a fucking douche, but Baked Alaska takes it to a new level. I will say that. That's the only time you'll hear me speaking up in any way for Baring, but he's not quite on the same level. Although the fact that they both got banned makes Twitter a better place, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, my life has gotten so much better. Oh, I'm getting the sound back now. Sorry, mute yourself, Kevin, maybe?
Pardon?
I think I'm getting some feedback from somebody. But okay, it's gone now. I don't have Sargon fans giving me random hassle, and I'm actually starting to have more productive conversations with people because it's not such a hostile environment. So yeah, there is a direct improvement, because if you don't have bully leaders leading their fans on, drowning people in completely pointless time, or muting people, or having to block them for abuse or report them for harassment, then you can actually spend more time with people who you can connect with and have chats with. And that's, my Twitter experience has been greatly improved after Sargon was gone. And I'm sure that, the fisty stuff will ease off too, because he won't be there unless he does a video. But I would predict that I won't have to report people for that sexist slur as much in the future, because the ringleader isn't going to be there to promote it on Twitter to remind his fans. I'll still get crap in the comments of my YouTube videos because it's the same medium, but Twitter should get a lot better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, brace yourselves, as that bear already has a minds.com account.
Not going to Minds, so I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever been to Minds or especially Gab, but those places.
No. Tell us.
Those places are the places where essentially Nazis go when they get kicked off Twitter, and it is, oh sweet Jesus, it's the worst place. It's like, imagine all of the worst bits of Twitter distilled, basically. It's the most racist place ever. Because I got a Gab account, which I use just to access and see what they're up to, because I follow their nonsense. And the very first tweet I ever did when I went onto Gab to set up my account, obviously when you go onto Twitter, it just gives you a general You know, these are the top tweets of the day. The first one was a story of a young American woman of Pakistani heritage who had been murdered, and it said one down, 1.3 billion to go. That was the top tweet of the day on Gab.
So, I mean, is it
Yeah.
just basically people complaining about uppity women and people of color and trans and decadence and whores and things like that? Is it just like
that is an overly generous way of describing what is the bucking dregs of humanity talking. That's all it is. It's literally the worst people in the world talking to one another, and the results that you would imagine ensue, and much worse. I mean, they're just trash. Which shows you why Twitter should get rid of them, because even if you've got some small element of your platform that has that in it, get rid of it and it makes your platform better.
Ban Nazis, Jack.
Now, I will say that Twitter's enforcement has gotten better, but their transparency hasn't. And as I said, I think we can all agree, even if we concur that Bering has engaged in systematic targeted harassment and has been reported successfully by lots of people who aren't me in the past, where he got himself to this point. I do think that, well, other than deleting the tweet, there should be some like system of, if there is an escalating system, which again from the outside it looks to be, you have to really piss Twitter off and get noticed in order to get kicked off. It's actually not that easy to get kicked off on Twitter. So they should be more transparent. Like the community standards settings in YouTube are way harsher, but way clearer. So
you have to basically be horrific enough or big enough to get noticed by Twitter for you to be a problem for Twitter in order to get rid of it. Like, if no one ever complained about the child porn on Twitter, Twitter wouldn't get rid of them. Twitter doesn't fucking care. It's a company that wants to make money. That's all that matters. Hello.
But then,
Danny, I was waiting for Danny to jump in. Then you did. Yay, Danny, go ahead.
But then, regarding child porn, unfortunately, Roy Moore has been verified. Good job, Twitter. Good job. Please, if anyone living in the state of Alabama, vote against Roy Moore.
Yeah, definitely. I actually think Republican women are not going to turn out for him, and that's going to make a big difference and might swing the election for him. Suburban, white, evangelical, but not so evangelical they're Machiavellian Christian women.
Yeah, but people said
and
that
men
about,
too, but I think it's
people said that about Trump. So people said that about Trump.
Well, but the Russians were, the Russians were a little bit give a tilt in the table, especially in his key states. So, and the Republicans gerrymandering, because we are really bad at forgetting how tilted the table is, even with the gerrymandering, the whole voter suppression stuff until the election is over. Anyway, so but yeah, Roy Moore is a POS, but he was probably verified before the allegations came out, and so he will probably, like, I hope, slide into obscurity very shortly, and his blue check, I'm sure, will be reviewed perhaps. But yeah, I think it is a problem. I do have at least some sympathy for Bering with the lack of transparency, because I know what it's like when you show up and there's a video report and you don't know what you did wrong, or what were the comments. Was it one report? Was it 50? What did they say? What are the concrete guidelines to make sure that if whatever else, it is communication with between platform companies, YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook, and more Twitter and YouTube, though the content creators are the people using it. You're going to have pretty strict enforcement. The copyright stuff we get, I mean, the copyright stuff at least has some legal framework, but the harassment stuff on YouTube and the flagging policies, they really could be far, far clearer, and the content would be greatly improved as a consequence. So, I mean, in that way, I kind of feel bad for Bering, in that I'm sorry he didn't understand how close he was to being kicked off Twitter. But on the other hand, he can't have been surprised.
Yeah.
Can't.
But I just wanted to mention, not that it's really related to anything other than this hangout, but Michael Rowlands was supposed to be here, wasn't he? And
He was
isn't.
He was going to try to get off the boat and come over.
Well, that's the thing.
Sorry, it's not a boat; it's a ship.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's a shame that he couldn't take time away from his usual activities of, I don't know, rigging the sails or getting scurvy or engaging in isolation-based emergency sodomy or whatever the hell he's up to on the boat in order to spend some time with us landlubbers.
Well, now I understand.
Popeye the Sailor.
I understand, Kevin, that Michael was going to ask, because you know how very kindly on Friday we were going to put together a fundraiser for a llama costume for him. Remember when he was going to go to this? Yeah.
He's a logical llama.
He is, yes. Well, you know what that cheeky bastard did?
What did he do?
He asked if he could have a llama costume for Tim.
Oh well, this is an outrageous. Well, he should just have to set it up himself then. Clearly, I don't know what else.
I think you need to make So officially, Michael, we never offered to make that fundraiser for you. We said we'd help. We said we'd maybe promote it, but if you want that llama costume that we offered to set up the fundraiser for you, but then actually kind of didn't, then yeah, you're gonna have to set it up yourself, and then Kevin and I will promote your 2-costume llama fundraiser. So.
Exactly.
All right, guys. Well, on that bombshell, I'm about ready to wrap this up. I think we've cleared the air. Kevin, you did that great video. Everyone should go to Kevin's channel and share that video around. Use it as a reference for Bering fans who want to say Bering didn't do nothing. Bering did plenty. Bering was it was a character that appears on Twitter. No, you know what? It's sexual harassment. Yeah, but before we do wrap that up, do you guys have any?
Actually, as we mentioned, Michael and Tim, in a joking way there. In a serious way, that series of characters that he has, I've heard some people say that there's no homophobic intent implied. The fact that in that series of characters you have the submissive Michael and Tim characters who are clearly in a homosexual relationship of some variety, and that's not meant in a good way. Clearly that's meant in a, oh, look at these two silly New Zealand puffs kind of way. So yes, he is being homophobic as shit as well. So
I mean, more homophobic. More homophobic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And he lies, and he's a liar. He lied about several things we listed here, and he's again lying to his fans about what this term means, and they know he's lying because they've seen his videos. They've seen the comments.
He even lied about me breaking a fucking chair. He even lied about me breaking a chair. Like, what? That's how absolutely inconsequential, and yet he still couldn't just, not lie.
I get the feeling that as soon as Bering sees this hangout, he's going to lie about this too.
Exactly. There was no hangout. There was no hangout. Kristi's never done a hangout ever before. It's never happened. What are you talking about?
Yeah, like what are you talking about, Bering?
Well, there is some. There is some kind of, if it was the case that because I inadvertently put up the wrong date for this, the hangout that I was going to do with Kevin on Friday. And Bering wanted to trash the chat by putting out a bunch of tweets and challenging us with questions and calling me that slur over and over again. And that me reporting those slurs and that baiting was the thing that pushed him over the edge. Well, then I have to say Operation Shiny Object has just had its peak. Like that, getting Bering to trip over himself enough to get himself reported off of Twitter.
Well,
it's sort of up there.
The beauty of that is, well, twofold. A, that it worked so superbly well, but B, that it reached its peak after we'd announced its existence to the person who was the target of it. And then
he still can't help himself. He can't just let us have a hangout without commenting on it.
That's like, okay, we beat him with the 3-card trick, then we turned the cards over and did it again, and we still beat him. Even though we can see the card.
Like, Bering's so easy to beat. Like, for instance, I'm actually glad Operation Shiny Objects was a success in that I played a role in it, especially when I proved how last year he endorsed Avalion, a well-known neo-Nazi.
Yeah.
He gets a criticism on YouTube.
What'd you say, Kristi? I couldn't quite catch that.
Sorry, I said he gets criticism on YouTube for a reason. It's not, and the other thing is when he makes criticisms, you know, if he could just leave out the fisty thing and make an argument, we could actually have an exchange. But he hides behind that to cover up the fact that he doesn't have arguments. He just has contempt and a desire to dehumanize people.
Yeah, like, Barry doesn't know how to make an argument if it bit him in the ass. But yeah.
All right, guys. Oh, you want to finish up, Danny, and then I'll take us out?
Sure. Like, considering how many lives Bering has ruined over the past 2 years since September of 2015 with his awful, awful video responses, I'm not shedding a tear that he's gone from Twitter. Like fuck that. Like, he deserves to be gone from Twitter. Like over the past 2 years, he's ruined several lives. Like, Blue Pill Philosophy is no longer on YouTube because of Bering and its harassment. So
yeah, I think that's worth bearing in mind when people cry and whinge and moan about how he's had his platform taken away. The amount of platforms that he's driven away from, people's platforms he's driven away from YouTube with his fucking harassment of random people with like 50 subscribers who are just doing feminism videos in their bedroom, not really offending anyone, not hurting anyone. Bering senses hundreds of thousands of people. They have to shut that down then. So, I mean, if you want to count up how many platforms have been taken away, Bering's is one. The amount Bering has taken away, significantly more than one. So, you know, forgive me if I don't cry salt tears over him.
No sympathy for Bering whatsoever.
He didn't have it taken away. He pissed it away, right? He had a, it's like the kid who gets suspended from school over and over and over and then finally gets expelled and said, but this time, why did I get expelled for this thing? Like, no, you got expelled for your whole record. You know, that's how I see it anyway. Yep. Well, anyway, yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
No, I was just saying yes. I was just generally agreeing.
Great. Well, then we will wrap this up. I think Danny's heartfelt comments, you know, I can leave it on that. And for the 75 viewers, I'm sure many Bering fans will be angry about this video. That's fine. If you call me Fisty, you're going to get banned from my channel. So bring it, because I only have to deal with you once. All right, guys. You've been awesome. I've been Kristi, and also from Danny and Kevin, I just want to say thanks to my guest for Kevin's video and his expertise pulling this stuff together. So it saved me from doing it. I went to bed and had a night's rest and came home from work today, and there was a beautiful video refuting Bering. And Danny, I know that you've been through a lot of hell because of Bering and his false accusations. So yeah, like you said, when you talk about ruining people's lives.
Right, like, it's almost a year now.
Yep.
Yeah, the fact that you two stood up so well to the false bullshit that Bering threw at you, I think, is a huge testament to both of your characters.
Aw, thanks, Kevin.
Appreciate it, dude.
All right, and on that note, goodbye for me and goodbye for my guests. Say goodbye, guests.
Bye-bye, guys.
See you guys. See you guys.